how you doing? It's Yvonne here, and I'd like to show you how I made this cute little swing card. And it's simple, it's cute, and it's very different. Different as in it's not just plain. It's something that I saw on Pinterest and decided to try my hand at it. So, to make this card, we're going to need the following. We're going to need some white cardstock. We are going to need some designer paper of sorts. We are going to need some type of punch or die cutters, some white cardstock to put your wishes on, some trim, whichever way you want. It is a simple card, just a little laid out differently. So, to begin, we're going to use a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. And this card will be solid like so. And you're going to need, I've taken a piece of metallic paper. I've taken my 2 1/2 inch or 2 1/4 inch, my 2 1/4 inch, no, 2 1/2 inch punch, and punched the hole 2 1/2 inches. And I also took my designer paper and punched a 2 1/2 inches. So what I did is to make sure that it was equal, I aligned my paper, kept my hand sturdy on it, just added my punch with both pieces and punched it so that way there I have an even punch. My top layer is even and it's going to be perfect to work with. So now, in order to fit into your card, what I did, I took my layer, laid it on the front of the card the way I wanted to. Then I took a pencil, drew around the circle, and I took my round dies, which are Stampin' Up, and I took the 2 1/4 inch die. I added it on, ran through my cutting machine like this, and I ended up with a hole at the same place approximately as the 2 other layers. So all I did at this point now is I added my layer on top of this. They're really simple to make. I mean, I'm using metallic paper, but you could use a colored cardstock. You could use really anything you wanted. And the first step is I'm going to add this on my card base to make sure that it's even, perfect. That is just what I wanted. And now I'm going to get myself some fishing line, which I have here. I'm going to get myself a piece of fishing line. Now, the reason I took fish, you can use twine, you can use whatever you want. I have fishing line in my well, they're not fishing line, actually it's jewelry line. You could use some fishing line. It's because it's clear and it'll show less. And I took a nice piece there. I would say probably a yard or so. When I say yard, I meant a foot, 12 inches or more, a little more. And I ended up folding it in half like this. And then I took my scallop punch, which is 1 3/4, and I punched out 2 pieces of designer paper. So I punched out, or on this particular part, I punched out 2 of the metallic paper. I can do that here. So I'm going to punch 2 of them out like this. And again, that is 1 3/4. My punches, they mostly come from Stampin' Up. I've had them for years when we used to go and have all these cool little parties there for a while. There was a lot of them. And you'd go there and you'd make cards for the evening. And those are some of my purchases. Now, I'm taking, this one here is from EK Tool though, and it's 1.5-inch punch, and I just cut out some white cardstock, and I'm going to glue them again in the center of my little dial here. Sorry for the glare. I'm trying to hopefully not be too bad. I'm just going to add it to the center like this, and I'm going to enter. But before I attach this one to this one, I'm going to take my thread, like I said, my filament. I don't know if you can see it there on camera. I have a hard time. I should maybe use some twine. But all I did was take my thread and just kind of evened it out here. If I can try that again. I'm visually impaired, so this to me, I got to go by feel. So forgive me for being a little long. I don't see that at all. Okay, so I'm going to put my finger and I'm just going to twirl this way for just a twirl. And I attached it, I laid it down on my circle. That's fine, I can adjust it after. Center as I can, and then I added the other dial on top, and then I line it up. So this is in the center of that little dial, or whatever you want to call it, and this becomes the swing part. Now on the other side, now that it's together, I'm going to add my other white piece of cardstock on there, like this, and I'm going to attach it. Now you can do whatever you want in the middle of I'll call it a medallion for identity purpose. You can add a sentiment on here. You can do what you want. But I made these little bottle caps, and I want to make this one a little bit more masculine. So I have some bottle caps here that I end up putting resin on and so forth, and they have really cute pictures of a suitcase, like a man's suitcase, travel bits and so forth. So I think it fits perfectly with the theme that we're going with right now. And then I'm going to take a glue dot, just your typical glue dot. You can glue it on if you want, but I use the glue dot. It's going to fit perfectly. And it makes like a 3-layer medallion on each side. And I'm going to add another one on the other side. Now, if you do have these, make sure that it's facing the same way. In other words, the visual part is here, so I'm going to put the head of the next one the same as here. These are fun to make. I do these and put these on charms and whatever projects I'm working on. I really like it. Okay, so now we have the medallion done. So how do we add it on here, you say? Well, I'll tell you, it's quite simple. You just lay it down in the center of your circle, like so. And all I did, you can do whatever the way you want to, but the way I did it, that made it really easy, is, if I can find there you go. All I did was take a piece of 2-way tape, gathered my threads again together in the center, and added my 2-way tape. Oop, I'm doing it the wrong side. Wow. Nope. Oh, I glued it on the wrong side. Well, that was a smart move. Very smart move. I'll do another one after. So I'm going to put it on the right side, like so. Like this. And then I'm going to lay it out on the other side. And I'm going to put it taut, not enough to pull the card, but taut enough so it won't sag. Like this. And add my tape. There you go. So here we have a swing type of card. But I have to fix the front part. Therefore, I'm going to add this piece on top. So I'm going to, now this is going to be tricky because I've already cut out, but let me see if I can just take this. I'll do the same as when I cut the the other piece on the card front. And I'm going to make sure that it's, there you go, 2 1/4 cut. And this should fit in here. Now I got to cut off a little bit of the edge. I'm going to cut a little bit on the edge here because I don't want it to be too long, like this. And I'm going to cut out just a tad, just a tiny little bit. So I'm going to do this, 1/2 inch there, not 1/2 inch, but I mean not quite 1/4 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing here. All right. Now you wouldn't have to do this step if I had glued it on the proper side. I wouldn't have to do this step again. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now. Perfect. I love it when a plan falls together. And now I'm going to take my glue and add my glue. I'm using Nouveau glue. Seems to be what I seem to be reaching out. I just like the glue just for placement. I find it so much easier for placement, and I don't have to worry about moving anything the wrong way. Oh, I'm not pleased with that. Don't like the way that's coming out. Let me see. What can be done can be fixed, as they say. I'm just going to cut off a little bit more. This would make more sense to me now. Yeah, this makes a whole lot more sense to me. So for you, I wouldn't quite worry about that because you will have all your pieces cut out ahead of time. I'm going to cut off the remaining of the threads on the opposite side because I don't want it to stick out into my card. I hope you're following me up to date. I should have had this on the front, but I didn't, so I cut another piece, put it on the front. It's as simple as that. And now I'm going to add it to my card front. So in order to do that, I need to add more glue. Add more glue. Just like that. This Nouveau glue I really enjoy it. It's not too thick, definitely not too thin, and I find it works perfect on cardstock. Gives you a few seconds to kind of work it, not minutes, but seconds, and it just kind of feels really, really good. Okay, so now I'm going to line this to be even, like so. Now, what I did is I cut out another piece, which is another piece of that glitter, and I cut it to fit on top here. And the reason I did that is just to cover up and give it a little bit more of a feeling of dimension. And how I did that was I took the 2-inch, first of all, I took my 2-inch punch and I punched it through like so. Then I took my 2.5-inch punch and I came back, centered it to have all sides visually even, like this, and voila, I have myself a perfect circle with a perfect round base. And all I do at this point now is I'm just going to add a little bit of glue all the way going around here. You can put it on your circle if you want. I just add it to the edge of my circle, and then I add my die, my cut, and there you go. You have yourself a card with a dangle, and the dangle you can flip and just let it go. I suppose I should stay on camera. I can just flip it and then let it go, and it just flips, and it makes to be a really, really sweet card. So what I did next is I just took a banner like this, and I glued it on the bottom. This is a little wide, so I'm going to cut it down. That's 2 inches approximately. Yeah, 2 inches. I'm going to cut it down to 1 3/4 maybe. No, 1.5 I think would not suffocate too much the card. Like so. Add glue, my good old glue, all the way going around. Like so. Add it on here. These are so fun to make, guys. It's not difficult whatsoever. I'm going to add it just about here, like that. Then I'm just going to take the opposite side. Now, if you wanted to, you could have added this piece before I glued it onto the card and just wrapped the edges on the back. But this works as well. So this is perfect. And then what I did is, I'm just going to lean it like this so you can see, but with no glare. I just took another piece of coordinating paper, and I'm going to cut that down at 1 inch. And I'm just going to add it in the center like so. So let me do this again. Add some glue. Now I could have used the same as I did with the other card. I used the same paper. Oops. I added the same paper, and it looks fine, but I'll show you the comparison in a minute. So I'm doing this one geared more for a man, although the other one could be for a man too. The pattern is pretty straightforward. But this is turning out to be a beautiful card. Beautiful card. And on the inside, on the outside rather, what I did is I just took a piece of white cardstock, and I took some sentiments from the Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. It's from Rowena Stott Designs Limited. And this is a newsstand set that's out in the UK. And what I did is I just grabbed the best wishes that's in that set. Let me push all these things apart here. There you go. So I'm going to grab the best wishes, which is right here. And I'm going to add it to my block, like so. And I Versamark and added some gold into this one. But I believe I am going to just do it in black this time, which I'm using Memento ink. And I'm just going to add this best wishes down. Perfect. Cut that out. And the way I cut it out, I cut it as close as I could because it is kind of a wide sentiment. I just cut it both ways and just aligned it to make sure that I was cutting straight. Across here the same. Made sure that it was straight. And on the bottom. And I just took my best wishes and added it on the side. I'm just going to trim just a little bit more off the best. There. Perfect. If anybody wondering, I've got this, I think it was at a fat Tuesday morning in the States. It was just a little cutting from Fiskar. I really like it. I have one that it also does a little bigger. It's not too big, but it's big enough for me to use. Now I'm going to glue this without bringing the big gun out. I'm going to add this sentiment to the center here, like that. Best wishes. Then I open the front part, like I did with this one. I opened the front part, and all I did was add a piece, because you always end up having little pieces, and I just did not want to kind of let that go with nothing, for nothing. So all I'm going to do, what I mean by for nothing is, I mean I wanted something to, I don't like to have a lot of little pieces, so I try to use them up. So I'm going to cut one, and I'm going to cut about an inch. So this is 4 by 1 inch. This is how I make my cards. I normally don't, well, I got to go 2.5 inches. Like, you know, I know that while I'm making the card, but when I'm adding little pieces like this one here is a 1/2 inch. This one here is going to be an inch, because I decided to put it after I had added the sentiment, which I couldn't really move the sentiment, so I cut down the happy returns. And I got that one from this one too. Many happy returns right here. And any stamp set would, you know, anything that you have already, you don't have to have what I have. I'm just telling you. Mine comes from the UK, but the ones that I'm using. And I could stamp it right on there, but I'm just going to stamp it a tad above. Like that. Many happy returns. So there you go. The card is done. It is for a male. It's a little bit more masculine. Not by much, but a little bit. This is trimmed in gold. This one here is trimmed in silver. And it's that easy to make a card that swings. So this is Yvonne, and I'm going to let you go for now, but I will be back with more. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Sorry for the glare. I tend to like things blingy, so it makes it a little hard, and haven't figured out how to not do that, have all this shine. Have yourself a great day, guys, and I'll see you real soon. Be happy.